Welcome to Tina Cooks. Today's show is going to be the balls. Rice balls. This is a tradition my grandmother taught me. Stay tuned. Okay, we have boiling water. As you can see, I'm still working on my kitchen. I'm almost there, but I'm having a hard time deciding which color I like. That may take me a while. So let's go on with our rice balls. We get the boiling water. Now this should be done the day ahead of time because this rice needs to be cold when you make your rice balls. It needs to be set. That's how I was taught. I don't know how other people may do it, but that's how I do it. I'm going to drop 4 cups of rice because I want to show you different variations in the rice balls, okay? Because you can make it with sauce, without sauce, with filling, without filling. You can make little appetizer ones. You can fry them. You can bake them. There's a lot you can do with rice balls. Different sauces, different meats. So I'm going to show you different variations of the rice balls. So we have to start out by cooking our rice. So we're going to cover this up and we're going to just let it come to a boil again. It's going to simmer a good 15 minutes. And then I'll show you what we do after it's done cooking. We'll be back. All right, when you're draining off this rice, you do not want to rinse it. Don't rinse it. You want some of the starch water to stay with it. You want the starch to stay with it. Okay? As a matter of fact, that's good enough. If you put enough water in there, you're not going to have a ton. You're going to see the starch leaving the rice? You want that. Put it back in, drain it lightly so the excess is out. Now I'm going to do my white and red together. This is our rice drained and cooked. It's about 15 minutes of cook time. It's not really overly done. It's just cooked, maybe a little al dente, but not raw. You can't have raw. I have about a half a cup of butter here. I'm going to throw in some butter. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix the white and then the red because the white is made the same way as the red. I'm going to throw in 3 eggs, okay? Because when my grandmother made risotto, we had butter, eggs, and cheese in our rice. She used to season the rice. I don't use pepper or parsley or any type of herb. You could if you wanted to. I don't. It's just the way I was taught. You can make this rice with any risotto rice balls with any leftover rice. It does not have to be a white rice or red rice. I can't talk today. Yeah, so let's mix this in. Now I didn't use all the butter if you notice because I want to make sure, and I'm going to use cheese. I love cheese in my rice balls. This is a risotto. Sometimes I'll just make this for a meal with pepperoni sauce or sausage sauce, and then the leftover is what we used to make the rice balls with. My nonna used to make these. See how the rice, see the texture of the rice? It's getting pasty, and that's exactly what you want. You want it a little pasty. That's why you don't mush it out. You leave it a little bit, leave it just a tish raw, but not really raw. I don't mean raw, I mean bitey. All right, now at this point, I am going to take the white rice out, because this is what I want for the plain, okay? Alrighty, that's good, because I'm not really a plain rice eater. I would much rather have it with sauce. Now I just have some regular tomato sauce. We've done that show before. I'm going to throw this in here, okay? And you're going to cook it. You're going to cook it a little bit more with the sauce and make it red. You could throw your meat in at this point, your pepperoni in at this point, whatever you'd like. But like I said, I'm going to do a few different variations of the risotto, so I don't want to add anything to the rice at this point. Oh, what the heck, we might as well go with all the sauce. Okay, and I didn't use about a tablespoon of that half a cup of butter. Now the reason why you cook this ahead of time is because you actually want this rice to be cold. You want the day before is perfect, or leftover rice from the night before is perfect. So we're going to have to let this set and chill, because you can't work with it like this. It's actually got to be firm. You'll see when we come back to do the rice balls how it changes once it's chilled. All right, and we'll be back at that time. Okay, while we're waiting for our rice to cool, I'm going to make a stuffing. Now you can go down to North End and get these when they're having the big, what do you call them, Carl? Feasts. And they're wonderful, and they're stuffed with meat and peas. Now, like I tell everybody, I'm not really a pea person. I'm a spinach person. So I'm going to show you a stuffing that I'm going to make for inside the rice balls. I'm really having a tough time today, boy, I'll tell you. I'm going to put a little bit of oil and a little bit of butter. Yeah, I'm going to have some butter in this one today. I need some butter. All right. This is ground veal. I like ground veal. It's pretty good. I'm going to start out with my onions and garlic. I got a little bit of onions and garlic minced fine. And we're going to soften those up. Okay? And get this fire going here. All righty. Just going to give that a minute. Now I just blanched this spinach. I didn't alloy it. I usually do, but I didn't this time. We're going to do it a little different. I'm going to add in my veal. Okay, now. I just bought some veal and just ground it up with my little meat grinder. I'm going to season with some pepper. It's red pepper. It's kind of like a little hot. And I like that. I buy different peppers. Okay, we're going to use a little bit of garlic here. And this is my salt. Okay, a little more than that. Whoops. I make a mess on my new stove. I didn't like my new stove. I have to clean it all the time. I'm so excited. I'm constantly throwing food on it. Yeah. Okay, let's fire this up. I was going to take some time off because we're cleaning up the kitchen. I said, I'm going to take time off. So I called Dave and I tell him, Dave in Fitchburg, you know, I'm renovating my stove. He says, well, that's no excuse. I want some new episodes. So here we go, Dave. All right. I'm going to put the meat to the side. I'm cheating. This is a cheat. And take a little bit of oil, like so. Not too much. And we're going to take our spinach. I'm going to put that right in the center there, like so. I'm going to season this a little bit with salt because it's going to be plain. We don't want it to be, you know, tasteless. I'm going to use black pepper on this. Okay. Now rice balls are an Italian tradition that I always grew up as a kid. My grandmother would make risotto and have it left over. These are not my grandmother's rice balls as far as the stuffing and the fillings and so on and so forth. It's a little ball of rice that is deep, it's fried in oil, it's breaded with flour, egg wash, and breadcrumbs. And my Auntie Sunny just uses breadcrumbs. Sometimes she uses the egg wash, sometimes she doesn't. You can make it light with not using the eggs and the flour. So, there we go. I am going to throw a little bit of Chianti in there. I want a little bit of a red wine. And I'm just going to simmer it all out. I don't want it to stay there. I just want the flavor of it there. Because this is going to go into the white rice. You could stuff it in the oh my goodness, can you believe this? Too many rices. Red rice, white rice. Okay. We're just gonna let that wine simmer out. Carl, I forgot my cheese. I'll be right back. All right, I'm gonna throw a little cheese in here. You can use any kind of cheese you want. You could use mozzarella. I like the Romano because I'm gonna use mozzarella in the other ones, and I like everything that tastes different. I don't want all my rice balls to have the same flavors. Alrighty, and this is our stuffing. Okay. And we're just gonna let that cool. There we go. One more dish. Okay, here we have 2 eggs and milk. We're gonna do our rice balls now. Now this is where some controversy comes in. Some people use just the egg wash, the breadcrumbs. Some people just use the breadcrumbs with no egg wash. I tend to use a little bit of flour, a little bit of egg wash, and breadcrumbs because I want my breading to stick. Now when you make this many rice balls, a lot of times what I do is I freeze them. The only thing with the rice and freezing is if you decide you're going to have them, you should take them out the night before or let them thaw and then bake them off in a nice hot oven like 400, 375. Microwaving them frozen, they could get soggy. The breading's not going to be crispy, but I always cook mine before I freeze them. I've never really froze them uncooked. You can give it a shot. I don't know how they'll come out. Okay, I have these 2 I kind of did a little bit ahead. Now what I do is I very lightly roll the flour in there. I don't batter the whole thing, okay? And I'm just going to roll that around in the eggs, and then you just pat them in the breadcrumbs, roll them around a little bit. Okay, I'm going to put the sauce ones here because it really doesn't matter to me if they're sauced or white or whatever, but I like to keep them separate. Now these are 2 I experimented on because I haven't really stuffed rice balls. This is a new experience for me, so I did a couple before we started rolling, just so you can see. And this is how I did them. Okay, I took a big scoop. Now you can use a tablespoon if you want, if you don't have a scoop. Take a big scoop of rice like this. Okay, then you take the little scoop and you just make a little dent, like so. Then we're going to take a little bit of this veal stuffing I made with the spinach. I'm going to put it in there. Now, don't overfill, and I'm going to take a little bit of mozzarella cheese, just for the heck of it. Now, this is a little bit drier than the red rice is going to be. Oh my God, I'm having trouble with red rice today. Okay, just make sure you cover it over and then push it together. Now if you see a hole, don't be afraid to stick a little rice in there. This is like almost like playing mud pies. My grandmother used to do hers more in like an egg shape, but I don't think it matters if it's an egg shape or if it's a Now I want you to notice that I'm not really drudging these in the flour and getting a heavy coating of flour on, because I don't want a heavy coating of flour. Roll it around in your egg wash, put it in your breadcrumbs, okay? Alrighty. Now see what I like to do also, this is a white one, I'm going to put them over there. Now what I like to do also, and I'm going to have to grab this over here, wait 1 minute. Okay, here we go. Is I'm going to take some, I'm going to use my hands, you have to pardon my hands, red rice. I like that kid in the movie with, what's his name, Jack Nicholson, red rum. All right, we're going to put some pepperoni. See, now this is where you can use your imagination. You can use pepperoni, you can use cheese, you can use whatever you want inside the rice. Sausage. Okay? It's good to have a wet towel here because I'm going to make a mess. It's going to be one of those days where I'm going to make a mess. All right. You can use a scoop, you can use your hand. I'm going to use a scoop only because it's more uniform. Not that we have to have you more uniform. I'm just going to make a little hole with my finger because I'm going to take some of this mozzarella. Now, when you make a cheese-filled rice ball, do your guests a favor. Tell them that there's cheese in the center because they're going to take a bite of this and it's going to burn because the center is going to get very hot because you're going to literally fry these in oil. Okay, and we're going to roll this around. Now this is just stuffed with cheese. It's got pepperoni in it. I'm not going to worry about which one's which. We're going to have to guess. It's one of those deals. Okay, and I'm going to do a few with my hands so that you can see this is how my nonna used to do them. When I used to work at one of the restaurants, I used to do these for appetizers. You can make them small and serve them in a dish with dipping sauce. There's a lot you can do with this. Like I said earlier, you don't have to have just regular Italian rice. You can use wild rice. You can use any kind of rice that you want to use, you can use. As long as it's old, not old, it's day old, leftover. Now that we have a mess beyond control and we're done breading these rice balls, we are going to fry. All right, let's go to the stove. Now these pans are really hot. Put them on really, really high, just so I can get the oil nice and hot. Okay? I don't cook with a straight olive oil. I don't think you need an olive oil when you do something like this. Nice light corn oil or something like that is good. All right, now I'm not sure about these pans, so I'm gonna take a little piece. Yeah, see, it's not floating. All right, so we're not gonna, no, we're gonna give these pans a minute because they gotta be ready to fry, okay? I've got two pans going because I made quite a bit of rice. This is, you know, 4 cups of rice, so we're gonna start in this pan because I believe it's hot enough. Yeah, a little hotter might be okay. We'll get them going. Now, the reason why you want your oil hot is so that it doesn't absorb into the rice ball. Now, in a perfect world, which I do have a fryer-later, okay? You could use a fryer-later if you have one. I didn't want to use one today because it uses an awful lot of oil, more than probably what I want to put into it. I'm going to just pack these in here. Ooh, see, Carl, we're going to get quite a few rice balls in these nice frying pans. Now, when you're working with oil in a kitchen, be very cautious of little kids. Kids are really fast in a kitchen. I taught this summer. Last summer in with the rec department, and they don't realize the danger of a kitchen, and you have to be careful. So just be careful when you get little kids working with you. This would be a good project for them to learn, but you've got to be careful with the oil. And I'm going to load this pan up. I'm going to pop these down to 4 and see how those cook at that. Gas stove, new learning curve. It's been a while since I've had a gas stove. I haven't cooked professionally in about almost 5 years, so not that you ever get rusty, because I would never get rusty, but learning curves. There we go. Make sure you move them around so that they don't stick. You don't want them to stick because then you lose your bottoms, you know? And we don't want you to lose your bottoms. That would be awful funny if you lost your bottoms. All right, let's move them around a little bit. These pans are really big and they're full. So when you put the rice in it, it's going to bring the temperature of the pan down. I did put these up to high. And I want them to be nice and golden brown. You don't want, you know, they need to cook a couple minutes on each side. And I don't know how they'd come out in the oven if you're weight conscious. You might want to try to spray them down with maybe some Pam, put a little oil in the pan, and if you roast, cook them on maybe a 400, 425 oven, you might be able to get away with doing that. But if I'm going to eat rice balls, I want them fried. See, now they're just starting to a little bit. That's still not dark enough for me yet. So we're going to let them go a few more minutes because I want them to be primo. Like I said, if you had a fryer later, a couple minutes they're done. But this is how my nonna used to do it. Now I use a double fork method here. My nonna used to just fling them with one fork, but I double fork. Okay. Now these rice balls were rolled nice and tight because they're not falling apart. If you try and they fall apart, that's happened to me before. You might not have had enough eggs or whatever in there, but they should stick together pretty good. Oops. Except for when you break them yourself. I've done that before too. Oh, try not to get oil all over the place, Christina. Okie dokie. Don't these look great? And this is basically rice balls. I've been asked a couple of times to show rice balls. And that's why I decided to finally do it. I'm going to turn these too because these look like they're ripping now too. Excellent. See how nice and golden brown they are? You want them nice and golden brown. And you don't want to turn them more than once. Because then if you're constantly turning them, then you're going to run into a problem with the, I'm going to turn this handle this way. Because I know it's probably toward the other heat, but I don't like this cabinet right now in my way here with the handle. I like to be able to maneuver my arm. The handle was hogging my arm space. Alrighty. Oh, these just look gorgeous, don't they? I love rice balls. I really love a lot of the my grandmother's food, rice balls and polenta, and I just love that old, it was poverty food, but I love it. It's the best food in the world. All right, so we're gonna let these go a couple minutes on this side because it's gonna take the same amount of time, probably, I'd say a good 4 minutes anyway so far, 3-4 minutes, but you want them this color. So we're gonna let them rip. Okay, so I'm taking the last of the rice balls out that are being fried here. They're nice and done and golden brown. You can see the cheese bubbling out of them. So be careful when you eat them if you eat them this hot. Sometimes I like to let them just cool down a little while. Room temperature, they're awesome at room temperature. Some of these are stuffed with meat, so you might want to be a little careful. We're going to shut off this oil. Okay? Now, this is rice balls, Tina style. Like, I can't wait to eat these, Carl. It's going to be great. Let's go. I'm just going to cut a couple of these open because I want you to see. This is a red one, but it has stuffing in it. Okay, how the stuffing comes. And I think this one might have cheese in it because it's oozing out. Yeah, it does. And how it comes. How's your rice ball, honey?
That's a spicy rice ball.
Thank you for watching Tina Cooks. Have a good night. I'm rolling my balls. This is the Rolling My Ball show. You had enough with that on TV. How's your rice balls, honey?
That's a spicy, spicy meatball or rice ball.